Hey guys, I just wanted to do my review of Legends of Tomorrow, Season 2, Episode 1, Out of Time. So, episode starts off with Nick Zano, who's playing Nate Haywood. He's running through City Hall in Star City 2016. He's like trying to get past security. They tackle him, and then Oliver tries to find out what's going on, and he's the one who tells them that being a historian and a self-proclaimed time detective, that he was able to deduce that 1 week after Oliver Queen got back to Star City in 2012, that he was also the Green Arrow, which is why he's come to him telling him that Ray Palmer, Sarah Lance, and the other members of the team are in trouble based on, like Mesopotamian writing that describes Sarah Lance, a picture of Ray Palmer in medieval times during the Renaissance era, and like time ship taking the Wave Rider taking off in ancient Egypt. It didn't reveal all the locations of where they got lost in time, but apparently it seemed to like foreshadow some of the locations they're going to be traveling to later in the season. But they were able to find the Wave Rider in the Atlantic Ocean underwater, obviously. After it presumably got hit with a nuclear missile back in 1942, and Mick Rory has been in stasis ever since then, and it kept him from aging, and Oliver Queen and Nate woke him up to find out what happened to the team, and he was explaining how they spent the last 6 months traveling throughout time, trying to correct the aberrations in time caused by the Time Masters and other time pirates. So there's a flashback to when they were in France in 1637, and that's when they're trying to prevent the assassination of, I think it was King Louis the 13th, and make sure he consummates with his wife and creates an heir. But at least there's this funny moment where Sarah can't insist in fighting off the assassins because she's busy having sex with the queen who seduced her. But they're able to take out all the assassins, and at least this funny moment where like Sarah's like scrambling out of the queen's room, saying that she's all ready for King Louis the 13th, and Jack makes a crack saying, "And I bet you got her all warmed up too." And Sarah just gets pissed off for bringing it up and just like punches him in the shoulder, and they take off. And then but find the next time aberration is when they go to New York City in 1942 when an atomic bomb went off. Apparently, a couple years before the first atomic bomb was supposed to go off. Basically in like 1945 in Japan, and also they did mention that that's what our man Rex Tyler at the end of the season 1 finale came in the Wave Rider to warn them about, like, do not go to that time period. That's when it's gonna go disastrously, and you're not gonna make it through the whole thing. But they decide that it's worth taking, sacrificing their lives just for the sake of preserving history and not having everything go to hell. But you also find out that Sarah has been secretly tracking Damien Dark and know that he's in that time era, and he wants to kill him, not just to avenge Laurel's death, but also to prevent it as well. But the problem is, like, once they get to that time period, Ray follows her to a remote location in which Damien Dark's meeting with the Nazis, and Ray Palmer tries to remind her that saving New York City is more important. You can't just like abandon the mission for personal revenge. Much to her chagrin, and knows he's right. And so they end up having to punch Einstein when some Nazi assassins try to kill him at a gala, and they bring him and put him on the brig in the time ship when Martin Stein and Mick are trying to ask for his help of stopping the attack, and Einstein's able to put two and two together and realize, oh my god, these guys are time travelers, because they're talking about his theory of relativity and things that haven't happened yet, like the publishing of his papers and the attack itself. And and it leads to like not Rip, but Ray like telling the rest of the team how Sarah was going off mission trying to kill Damien Dark, and Sarah just gets pissed off about calling him like being like so perfect and being a little Boy Scout, and how being a little Boy Scout, and how it's like he's nothing without his suit, which is kind of and he's basically just some self-righteous billionaire, and how it's like you would take the chance with try to like save your fiance if you would, and Ray was saying like, yeah, but that's against the rules, and she says, we're not time masters, there are no rules. So there's a little bit like tension between them, and you can tell like Sarah's just like hell-bent on like trying to kill Damien Dark. And when they were able to meet at Hoboken, New Jersey, at a shipyard, where it turns out that even despite capturing Einstein, that they were still able to nuke New York City, is because of the fact that they actually kidnapped his ex-wife, who was actually a major contributor to helping him discover. She was a major contributor in helping with his research in atomic research and creating a nuclear bomb. I mean, I don't know if this is actually accurate to history, but it is kind of a nod to the fact that there were like female scientists who were uncredited for major discoveries in history just because of the sexism at the time, which I thought was kind of a nice nod to it. And I guess they were presumably trying to kill Einstein to make sure that he couldn't help prevent the attack. And so there was basically this big battle at the shipyard, and everybody else is fighting off the other Nazis. Ray's trying to disarm the bomb, but his suit seems ill-equipped to do that. Why Firestorm isn't the one trying to do that, I don't get, because he did do that at the end. He did do that in episode 2 of season 1. And of course Sarah goes off to fight Damien Dark, but the problem is that Damien Dark is hundreds of years old, has far more experience, and so it's basically a pretty one-sided fight. And even though Sarah's getting her ass kicked, she reluctantly decides to retreat when they feel like they're outmatched and they can't like disarm the bomb. And so it leads to them going back to the Wave Rider and just going underwater to find the submarine. But the submarine finds them, and Damien Dark has them launch missiles at the ship, which critically damages it. And then afterwards, they try to launch the nuclear torpedo at New York City. And so, as a last-ditch effort, Rip decides that he has to activate a time scatter, which is basically what it implies. So all the legends are teleported to the different places throughout time. He has a mixed stay on the ship just because he feels like, being the loose cannon that he is, that he shouldn't be left in a time period by himself. And so he's the one who puts him in stasis and is ready to have the ship like take the impact of the nuclear blast, and that's how it ends up submerged underwater for more than 74 years, and how Oliver and Nate are able to find him. I mean, Oliver obviously says like, oh, I don't have time to time travel, but tells Nate this is the opportunity of his lifetime. So they're the ones that. So thanks to Nate's help, Mick's able to pilot the ship and go pick them up at different locations. They were able to go get Ray, who was trapped in he was trapped 70 million years in the past, being chased down by a T-Rex, and Mick scares him off with his heat gun. Sarah was in Salem, Massachusetts during the witch trials because she was sleeping around with all the women in the village and making this crack about how she said they were happy to be corrupted, and even does like at one of the women who was at the trial, and starts like trying to beat the crap out of people to get herself free. But then the rest of the team shows up, and then they go to pick up Stein and Jax in the Renaissance era before they're about to get executed by some spoiled brat. And then they decide, in order to prevent the nuclear nuclear explosion and Einstein's kidnapping, they decided to go back to 1942 at an earlier point, where he gives credit to his wife, or I guess his wife, because he's still married to the ex-wife at the time, to make sure that she gets the credit. Make sure she gets the credit for helping him with his research and making sure that neither one of them get kidnapped. And which, I don't know. I mean, with time travel logic on the show, I just feel like it's kind of frustrating, because it can be kind of lazy and or at least lazier on the Flash, kind of confusing here, because it doesn't. Because how does that? Because it makes you wonder: does this undo the events of some of the events in 1942, or does it just create just a new timeline that's like unaffected? I'm just done trying to figure it out personally. But just as they're leaving Columbia University, they're the ones that get ambushed by the Justice Society of America, including Vixen, Commander Steel, Obsidian, Hourman, and Dr. Midnight. But also another shot, they also show how the Nazis expressed disgust at Damien Darhk for feeling like he wasn't able to help them fulfill his end of the bargain. And he says that, there's not going to be another nuclear missile. My partner wants to move on to other things. And the time nemesis that group refers to, but they don't know who it is of course, lo and behold, the Reverse Flash, who snaps all the Nazis' neck in a manner similar to how Zoom killed all the cops in one of the later episodes of season 2 of The Flash. And it was kind of cool to see him show up this early on, but I guess the thing it doesn't explain. Now, this is presumably, I mean, I know some people online were thinking like, it's like one of the time remnants from before he went back to kill Barry's mom. I'm 100% sure it's not. The reason why they had Matt Letscher show up in the Flash season premiere is to set up his appearance on Legends of Tomorrow. This is where he headed off to after he dropped Barry off at the house at the end of the season premiere. So it still doesn't explain, either here or on this show, whether he's like some kind of time remnant or like a living paradox like he was in the Flashpoint comic books, because there was that whole montage at the end of the Flash season premiere where it showed all those clips from seasons 1 and 2 that presumably still happen for the most part, except with some small changes in people's lives. So I don't know if it's going to be some kind of thing where he's a living paradox, or the season's going to end where he's dropped off back in the year 2000 and loses his speed force abilities, and in which that allows the events of season 1 and 2 to play out. But I feel like I had to go with, there's some kind of fan theory there. I think I had to go with maybe he's become like a living paradox or something, just because I feel like they wouldn't go through the trouble of trying to get him back and then just him not having to worry about, being a slave to continuity and being able to like do more stuff with him, and not having to worry about having to line up his storyline with season 1. Like he's just like a time double or time remnant or living paradox or something. I don't know. The time travel, the internal logic on these shows for time travel is just confusing. But anyway, this seems like a really strong start to the season. It feels like, the crew seems to be like having fun with time travel. You feel like a tighter group. They also did mention at the end of the episode that Rip Hunter was the only one in which Nate couldn't figure out where in time he got lost to. He says that he leaves a message for the team saying that history's in your hands. I've left for parts unknown. So I guess like one of their missions is that they're gonna go try to find him, and I'm pretty sure part of it was that the fact that because they're adding Nick Zano and Macy Henderson Sellers to the cast, as well as having all these like superheroes and supervillains guest star, that they couldn't afford to have Arthur Davil for a whole season, which is, for me, it's like fine, but it's just also the fact that his character is like pretty kind of a douchey and kind of selfish and self-righteous and not the most sympathetic or likable guy. So I'm just fine to see like how these guys are going to manage without him, trying to wrangle them in. So overall, strong start to the season. How do you guys feel about it? Do you feel like are you excited for the new season? Do you feel like it's definitely an improvement from season 1? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. If you like this video, like, share, and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.